here. You know, went through college and got an international business degree, speak a couple different languages, and started off in international telecom. So it was deregulation time. I partnered up with a bunch of really, really brilliant guys. They were engineers from Westinghouse, and they were developing all kinds of new technology. This was the early days of VoIP, tower phone, net to phone. Some of those cool things were happening out there, satellite. So they bought some switching platforms, and they needed to have, as they were doing large scale, we actually developed the entire infrastructure for the telecommunication system for the country of Ghana. So we had some pretty large scale projects that we were doing. The same token, they needed cash flow, right? And so it's a little bit like people that do commercial and residential, where you do big commercial deals and they're great. It's a huge payday, but it's a long distance between watering holes on that thing, right? That's right. So people, a lot of times they'll sell the residential real estate in between to get paid more frequently, smaller checks, but more consistent. And so for them, there were some other services they wanted to sell, and they needed to sell those internationally. So I got into selling those internationally. I got to work with third world countries. I worked with government entities, telecommunications, the minister of telecommunications, you know, for Venezuela and that kind of stuff. So really cool. Got to do some of those things. Got to work with entrepreneurs, and we set up businesses. And so that's when I started getting into structuring and setting up businesses. And then I was coaching as a young person. I was in my mid-20s, coaching these people as we were going through on how to structure and set up a business, and how to grow it and how to staff it. And I was learning from what other people were doing and then sharing best practices. So I was going over and consulting, you know, I was learning from these top folks, doing it in one place that were very experienced, and then taking it to these entrepreneurs starting out for the first time, creating a call center in you know, Kenya or something like that. And so we would go through and structure that. It was a lot of fun. So I got a chance to help this company grow into 17 different countries around the world, and structure all these businesses. And as we did this, of course, the guys that own the companies, engineers who were great guys and very smart, all became multimillionaires. And they started, you know, driving up to work in their fancy cars, and it was exciting. I was happy for them. But you know, at the end of the year, my last year there, I got a bonus check for 50 grand. And hey, when you're in your 20s and you get a bonus check for 50, my bonus check was more than what most of my buddies were making, you know, all year long at that age. And I looked at it, and I was happy with what I got, and it was fair. I did not begrudge anyone else for what they made. I just looked at it and said, I want what they have. Right. I need to own something, right? Yeah. In order to make the money, you know, if I keep working for someone, I'm not going to get to where I want to go. And so that's kind of where my entrepreneurial drive kicked in at that point. And so I started focusing on what to do. So of course I went where you make all the money, real estate, because it's super easy.
Natural transition.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the next stuff is, you know, a little bit more condensed in that, you know, got into sales, and yeah, definitely better to own something for sure. So I got into the sales side of things, and as that started to grow and develop, got into you say, hey, you know what, we should also own the brokerage, right? So we started looking around, looked at a business model, at a business partner I wanted to go do this with. And I ran into what at the time was a new model. It was the Keller Williams model back then. So it was a new company, had less than 12,000, maybe 10,000 agents or something. We started researching the model.
Keller who?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I actually, when we decided to buy the first franchise and open up a region, and so I went out there to grow this franchise business and attract agents into it. And as I called people about it, I literally got Keller who? Ever, because nobody heard of us. So I bought the domain name Keller who, and I owned that for about 5 years until we weren't Keller who anymore. And over that time period, we launched about 5 of their franchises in the state of Maryland. Wow. And then from that, we had a pretty good success. We were one of the few that when the market downturned in the 07, 08, 09, you know, time period, we actually had more profitability in those years than we had previously. We made some good adjustments, and we were growing. Offered a good model for agents during that time who were struggling. So I was asked to take over a region for them. It was their second largest region in the company. It's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and it was struggling. There were 30 regions in the company, and they were number 26 and dropping fast, losing agents, losing money. So within 2 years, we had turned that around. I got that to number 1 in the company. We had 42 franchises in that area, 7,000 agents.
Wow.
And I had expanded the number of offices that I personally bought into, whether I was partnered or an operating partner in those. So that was good. That was a good time. It was very profitable for us. We were able to, I was able to take advantage of that growth, and in a lot of great ways. I learned a ton. So nothing but love and respect for my former company. But one day I did wait. What's that?
How'd you wind up over here at EXP then as the president?
Yeah. So, I always teach people that I coach that, to treat everything that you're doing for your vocation as a vehicle for your life, right? Everyone should know what's driving them and where they want to go in their life. And what they do is a vehicle that should be moving them in that direction. You have to decide, you don't get tied up in what you do or who you do it with. Because really it's what is important to you in your life, who is important to your life, and what do you want to be doing. And you need to be always focused in that direction on where you want to go, who you want to become, and all of those things, and who you partner with, and what you do should be a vehicle to help you get there. And so, one day and we end up getting tied into our vehicle a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so we go wherever our vehicle's going,
well, it
regardless
becomes
of
an identity, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep. And so you're separating the identity from the life. Like, this is the life I want. This is what I'm about. Okay.
Exactly. So I woke up one day and, based on some changes that they had made as a company, I realized I woke up that I was in this vehicle and it wasn't taking me in the direction. It wasn't who I wanted to become. I wasn't doing the things that I enjoyed. The direction that the company wanted to go in, I didn't necessarily agree with personally. So, I looked at my wife one day and I just said, I don't like this anymore. And she said, quit. I said, all right, let's do it. So I literally that day, I called and I stepped down from my executive role with the company, and I started selling off my franchises. Fortunate to be able to take some time to have some fun and do some other things and buy into some other industries and start some other franchises in other industries and do some consulting. I did spend a couple of years in a contract with one of the largest, it was the largest independent real estate company in the country, and helped them go through actually a sale to Berkshire Hathaway. And during that time, after I had left, I had a good buddy of mine. His name's Gene Frederick, and he and I knew each other from the early days when I first started over at KW. Amazing guy. He was actually one of my first mentors and coaches, and became good friends over the years. And so when I left, shortly after he left, we talked and kind of said, hey, that was a great ride. Let's find what's next. And so one day he called me and said, I got it. Dave, I found it. I found the next big thing. And I was like, all right, tell me all about it. So he goes, yeah, this company is called EXP. I'm like, what's the EXP? EXP what? Like, what is that? And, I was like, all right, whatever. Tell me about it. And he goes, all right, it's really cool. They got this really cool model. They've got 350 agents. I said, Gene, well, you and I both had offices that had more agents than 350. You tell me, this is a national company. It doesn't even make sense. So he said, just listen. So he explained to me the model, and I was blown away. I mean, the model made so much sense. And part of what had attracted me to doing the broker side of things, and what attracted me to originally working with the way the former company used to operate, was a focus on helping people be successful. And that, to me, is the most fun thing that you can do in life. Helping other people succeed is something that makes me feel good. I love working with other people and helping them kind of self-discover and work through things and get where they want to go, and helping them reach their personal goals is incredible. And so if you can have a job that your whole job is just to help other people succeed, and you get paid for that, that's the best thing if you can find that. And that's where
real fulfillment right there.
Yeah. And I think for real estate too, I mean, that's what attracted a lot of people to, has attracted a lot of people to the real estate industry, is we get to help people achieve their goals and dreams and everything else. Whether it's getting them out of a tough spot or helping them with a new opportunity, we get a chance to help people and be a part of that journey with them in a big way. And that's so much fun. And so, for, for this opportunity here, it was, hey, this is a chance to help a lot of people succeed. When you combine the ability to help people produce, help them grow their sales business and become more successful, to teach them in a way we couldn't teach before. One of the hardest challenges with an office is getting people to, to show up for class. We had amazing classes taught by some of our top agents, but it wasn't always during a time people could show up, and it was inconvenient. And so we had no other way to share it with them. So that was hard to get people in the room. And the other thing was the only people I could get to teach were the people local, right? I'm not going to get someone to drive 2 hours away from another market to share their expertise for free, right?
Right.
So, few and far between. And so, here we have an opportunity and a platform to get top producers from all around the country and now around the world to share their expertise on a platform where no one has to drive anywhere. Include the instructor or the agents can do it, on their schedule, and it's all recorded and there for them to go back to and everything else. And then it's live streamed and everything else. So, platform for people to learn, tools for people to go out and go grow their real estate business. And then because of cutting out 60 to 80% of the overhead, an extremely competitive split that allows our agents to keep more money in their pocket on their transactions. And then the whole thing with the stock and the revenue share and all the other wealth building tools that go along that help the whole agent to build a successful career and life, and an opportunity to help people do that. That to me, I saw immediately why Gene was so attracted to this. So he introduced me to Glenn Sanford, loved Glenn. When I heard about his vision and everything else, I thought, man, this is really cool. He and I just, bounced ideas back and forth for about a year, just talking about cool things we could do with the company. I was under contract with, from a consulting standpoint. So when I finished up with the other company, literally that day, as I was driving home, I called Gene and said, I'm coming over. So I got home, I signed up as an agent to come here and help build the company. I said, this is the model of the future. This is an opportunity to be a part of the next big thing, to help grow the company, to serve more people on a big scale. This is something I can get behind and be excited about. And I was all in. Glenn called me the next day and he said, hey, did you just join EXP? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, I don't have a job for you. I said, Glenn, I'm not here for a job. I want to help grow the company. I want to be a part of this. Let me know how I can help you. We're going to go build this up, and we're going to go help a ton of people. And then a couple months later, he called me and said, yeah, I got something I want you to do for me. And here I am. I ended up being president of the company. And it's a really neat way for me to be able to impact what we do from the inside out, and to ensure that we stay true to our mission and our vision, and that we're constantly looking to serve the agent and create the best place for them to do business. So there's my really long-winded answer to your question.
No, I love it. And so one of the things I really appreciate is, obviously you've got a depth of experience, not just in real estate, in business in general. But I like the fact that, and I didn't realize this, that you came in as an agent and then worked your way into the president. So you actually have the feel of what we go through, the front line of the experience, that, how the tools work. And I think you'll appreciate this comment. A friend of mine who had a friend in real estate in Colorado, I'm here in Las Vegas. He said, hey, do you know anybody in EXP? The Colorado person asked my friend Ken. Ken goes, you got to talk to my buddy Joe D. So, we trade text. I get on the phone with him, and he's like, hey, I have one question. I said, okay. He goes, is it really true that EXP agents share what they really do to get business, and why do they do it? And my answer was, yes, first of all, it's true. I said, second is, we're all owners in the company.
Yeah.
And, you just pointed that out there, completing the wealth package and the opportunities. So, here you are all the way across the country helping our agents here, get better. So let's talk about some of the tools. Let's take a look at, from your perspective, agents doing all levels of business. What are some of the tools that really stand out that you think, wow, this is really good stuff, and A, people need to either leverage it more, or B, you're just over the top excited about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, one of the things, I'm a huge believer in education, and it's education for, that you can apply, right? Yeah. Everyone doesn't need to learn everything, because you're not going to do all those things. So having access to a varied selection of topics and things that apply to your business and things that you can kind of dabble in and say, hey, you know what? I haven't generated business doing this, but let me look at it. And so that option, when I coach agents, a lot of times agents would brag to me about, say, oh, 90 whatever % of my business is referral. And I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. they're like, what do you mean? Like they were bragging about it. And I'm like, oh man, well, it's all right. We'll fix that. And they would say, when they would question me, I would say, well, there are like 16 major sources of, categories for sources of business where you can draw business from, and you're only using one, which means you're ignoring all those other sources for your business. But when we unlock those, you're probably not going to master all 16, but you can certainly master 5. And so let's look at what all the 16 are, and let's get you 4 more where you can get business coming in from those. And it's going to be what's your best opportunity, what's a match for your behavioral style and your skill set, your background, what you enjoy doing, what type of business you are, what your market is, where you do business. Look at all of those different things and uncover what's the best way for you to go, what are the best things for you to add for a lead generation standpoint, so that you can continue to do business in a way that you enjoy, that's congruent with who you are as a person, and get you business.
I like what you say there on looking at the person as a whole. Too many times agents in the industry, they see so and so doing business this way, so they try to square peg themselves into a round hole, and it's not a natural fit. And I respect the fact that you're saying, hey, take a look and see what you're in congruency with, and go after your business that way. That's
absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really important. It's really important because it's there are lots of things that work, but they may not be the right fit for you. And that's, people get frustrated and they go out and try to duplicate something that's really not a fit for them personally. And the good news is there are tons of other ways. So the trick becomes really, being true of, understanding who you are, and then figuring out what's a good match with that, and understanding how you want to do business. And we've saved people from doing all kinds of things that weren't a good match for them. They were miserable, right? And they were just like, it's the same thing with cold calling. Yep. If you hate cold calling, cold calling works. If you're really good at it and you love it, great. You can build a huge business doing that. Or, advertising can really, really work, but it can also be really, really expensive. Right. So if you're not doing it well, you're going to waste a ton of money. So understanding what are, door knocking. Sure, you can knock on doors. Some people, it doesn't faze them, and they don't mind it. They build great relationships, and they master a market and a territory by doing that. And for others, it is like, they would rather be lit on fire. So, anyway, so that what we get from our broad spectrum of agents, that we have so many incredible, talented agents all across the country that are just killing it and doing all of those things, right? Those 16 different categories. We've got agents, making all of those things work in different ways, right? So we've got talent in at least every one of those at a really, really high level that's willing to share. So from an education,
going online, when we go into the world, there's constantly another agent up there that's doing business in a different way. And I remember early when I first came to the company, I remember seeing, on the schedule, somebody was talking about online marketing. And so I go to the gym in the morning, I come home, I'm having breakfast, I'm in my t-shirt, sweats. Normally, if I'm going to see this caliber of speaker, I got to get on a plane and I got to fly to some conference, and I'm going to spend $2,000 to $3,000, and I'm there to see one person. And yet I'm sitting in my kitchen table, eating my breakfast, getting ready to start my day, and I'm getting that same quality of information. So when you look at the training that exists in the world, do you think the agents, honestly, do you think the EXP agents are taking advantage enough of what's out there for them from an educational standpoint?
They are starting to take notice. I'll tell you, we've got a new class called Fast Start. Right. Okay. So this new class called Fast Start, and we've got some great people on our agent development team that have been working with top agents on putting this together. And we have both new agents and experienced agents taking this class. So when people hear Fast Start, a lot of times they think it's just a new agent class, but it's really one of those structural pieces where over time we get away from some of the key things that make us successful in business. And it's good to go back and say, hey, what have I migrated away from that I should not have? And how do I make sure I've got my foundation strong in my company? A lot of times, we'll come in, we'll do some things. We never really create a big foundation because we start getting busy. and then we start tackling other stuff, and then we never had a foundation to begin with. And then the busier you get, the harder it is to keep going. So I just got some stats, actually, interestingly enough, yesterday, and talking with our team. And in the first week that we opened up Fast Start, we had 2,326 agents take the class that week.
Wow.
In the second week of the class, we had 3,208 classes. So 5,500. I'm sorry, first 2 weeks and then second 2 weeks. So 5,500 agents took that class in the first 4 weeks.
Holy
that's one class. So we have 50 classes a week, every week, going on in the world. So 5,500 agents in the first month that came out, and that's when people are still learning that the class even exists. So we know it's gonna increase from there. We have a minimum of 50 agents every month being named icon. So, you know, as you guys know, in our company, when you hit your cap, you achieve that cap status, you go to 100%, and then you do roughly another 20 transactions beyond that, right? So these are high producing agents, successful agents out there producing. They get the option to, or they're rewarded up to $16,000 worth of stock, right, that they're given. But there's a kind of a requirement for getting that as well. In addition to producing at a high level, it's giving back, reaching back and saying, okay, you've been successful. Let's turn around and share with others how you became successful so we all win together. And so these icons all agree as part of that process to teach a minimum of 6 classes a year, a minimum. Most of them are teaching many more. Some are doing mentorship and everything else. So if you figure at the minimum level, because I know we've also had plenty of months where we've had 75 or more icons named in a month. Right, so I'm going to pull my calculator out here real quick. Right, okay. So if we have 50 agents at a minimum every month, we haven't had less than that. Okay, 50 times 12 months. Okay, that's 600 agents times 6 classes. That's 3,600 classes. So the least number of classes that we will have throughout the year taught by our top producing agents is 3,600. That's the least. Now with our actual numbers, we know like during the busier months and stuff, we'll start hitting more and it'll be 75. So you figure about 4,500 classes a year on average now, and it'll just get bigger every year as we have more top producing agents join us being taught. So our agents have the opportunity. Those are individual classes, right? Not repeat, not everything else. These are individual classes with different topics taught by top producing agents in the area where they are the strongest.
And the best part is these top producing agents are all over the country. So you're getting a lot of different perspectives.
Yes.
You know, I may hear something from somebody in a market near to me that's a different market, but the market pool that you're pulling from is big enough that there's going to be enough for me to identify with to help me move forward. And, you know, having hit Icon, when I went through the Icon interview, it actually caught me off guard when they said, okay, so what are you willing to do to give back? And I'm like, well, I'm going to keep selling homes. And they go, no, you don't understand. You have to do something to pay this forward. I'm like, oh, okay. What are my options? So I love the fact that it's already enrolled in the process to keep us paying forward.
Right. Yeah, it's really incredible. And you made a great point about the different markets because, you know, we tend to copycat things that work, right? Which is smart. It's smart. It's called modeling, right? So you find someone, but we usually just see the stuff that's in our local market or nearby. So we see, but what ends up happening is someone comes up with a new idea and they start doing it and it starts working and everyone starts looking over there and going, what are they doing? Oh, I'm going to start doing that. Right? That makes that, well, what a great idea. Then pretty soon everyone in the market's doing it. And it becomes what everyone does, right? And then someone else comes up with something new and everyone copies that. The cool thing about this is what everyone has keyed into, because one person was creative and came up with something in this market here. Well, pretty soon everyone's doing it in its old hat, right? But people in this market halfway across the country didn't see that.
Yeah, they don't
know.
No
one has seen that creative idea and copied it. And so, you know, if everyone's only learning from their area, they kind of become ingrown and everyone's just doing the same stuff and circling through. And it's really cool. This is a blue ocean strategy where you get to go do things that no one else is doing and become #1 in an area where other people aren't fighting over it. And it's a really cool way so our agents have a huge leg up from learning from people all across the country in different markets. And now we're bringing in Canadian top agents and top agents from the UK and top agents from Australia. So we're seeing stuff from other countries now, and that'll continue as we grow.
So what do you see as the big opportunity for EXP the company as a whole as we are going forward?
Ooh, okay. So we've got a couple of things that we can do, and our, we've got we've thrown a hashtag on it, just, I guess, because that's the thing to do these days. But we
Makes
talk
us
about
younger, Dave.
that's right. Yeah, exactly. We're so hip. So we talk about being agent success obsessed, but it's not just a tagline for us. I mean, honestly, the leadership team, we look at it and we talk about this every day, and so we look at it. We are taking this thing and we're turning it around and looking at it, saying, what are the other things that we could be doing to help our agents be more successful? And sometimes it's as simple as make sure our stuff works, right? Sometimes it's not about the next shiny object. Sometimes it's saying, hey, where are our agents finding friction points, right? What are the things that are frustrating them? We're not perfect as a company. We have things that should work way better than they do. We have things that could be just could be better, could be improved. We're not doing some things we could be doing. We're doing some things that maybe people don't like. And those things are certainly not from not caring about it or not listening. It's just there's always areas in every company for improvement. I've never been in a perfect company.
It's like a relationship. Any
will.
relationship, you're constantly working on it, and if you're not, it's falling behind.
Yep.
So you see like any of the biggest challenges as we're moving forward? I mean, obviously, one of the challenges that I see is the rapid expansion, which is a good thing. So as we're bringing more and more quality agents into the fold, are there any challenges that you're seeing of saying, hey, these are things that we need to address?
Yeah, it's been a little bit like changing the tires on the car while it's on the track. So it was off and running. I mean, this company was around for a number of years while Glenn was kind of perfecting his science project, if you will, and perfecting the model and looking at it. And so there were a number of years where it was kind of figuring some of those things out and getting it to the point where it could really grow. And so I spent a number of years, 50 agents, 100 agents, whatever. It was, I think we hit 1,000 agents in 2015. So, here we are at over 27,000 agents right now. And so that growth was kind of like, I think we did expect to grow, the company expected to grow, and that this would come. When it actually did, it was like, gradually, and then all of a sudden, right? And so, when it hit like that, you have growing pains for sure. And our growing pains are, if you have kids, and it's like, oh, they're not really growing that much, and all of a sudden you look around and your kid's pants are, they stop at his shins. It's like, when did that happen?
I've never personally had that experience, but I've seen it.
Right. I stopped growing in 7th grade, so their toes are cramped up in their shoes, and what's going on? Their sleeves end up here. So it's kind of where we were, where all of a sudden we look around and say, wow, these things don't fit anymore. The onboarding was one. I mean, that's kind of when I came on board. I think we had hit the crescendo of onboarding disaster. It was slow. It was a slow process because we were cramming 9,000 gallons through a 20-gallon pipe. It was just slow and painful. And that was one of the main things I heard coming on board is we have a lot of people that want to be here, and we can't get them in, and we're losing people just because of that. And the people that did come through maybe started off with a bad taste in their mouth about our capabilities as a company. So we focused on that and made some huge changes. That is by and large a non-issue now. Again, nothing's perfect, but that is something where we're able to. We've had agents come and say, hey, my broker found out I was talking to you, and they kicked me out of the office, and I got all these deals, and it's Friday afternoon, and I have all these things going on. I need to be switched immediately. And we've had them on board 27 minutes, literally from the first time that they contacted us to having them up and operational and doing their stuff. 27 minutes. Wow. So we can't really say that that's an issue anymore. Constantly working on improving the assimilation and support of people joining the company to make it smooth, because changing companies is emotional and it can be tough. So we want to make people feel welcome. But that's a big thing that we've seen. Making sure agents get paid on time, right? All the checks, all the closings. All of a sudden, there's a ton more closings. So are we staffed up, and are we trained well, and does our technology support us in the flow so that no one falls through the cracks and that sort of thing? So those are the things we've got. I mean, Stacy Anand, she's my partner in crime. She's the president of brokerage operations. I'm the president of growth for the company, and And so she's got her hands on that stuff all the time. And she and I talk constantly every day about those things and what are our friction points and what can we be fixing and what are we working on. We got our tech team pulled in, our accounting team and everybody else. So we're always looking, and I'm looking at it now at where we want to be at the end of the year. And, you know, we've set goals of being around 40,000. And I think we could even do more than that, but we've got goals, right? We've got goals of being, 40,000. At the end of the year, I think officially the numbers projected have been like 37,000. But I honestly think, as we continue to provide a great environment for our agents, I honestly think that our agents are going to grow our company faster than that. And I think that we have the opportunity to do more. So that's what we're focused on. We are focused on, we're listening. We use NPS, Net Promoter Score. And so we use that religiously. That is something where if you're with EXP and you get that survey every quarter or after a certain interaction with the company comes through and it says, rate us on a scale of 1 to 10 and what caused you to give us that, please know that those are red. Every single one of them is red. And we have our score and all the different categories and areas of what we're doing, but also overall as a company. And we use that. Our agents tell us where we're doing really well and where we have opportunities to change. And we get some incredible, cool ideas from our agents on, like, hey, this was great, but, have you ever thought about doing this? And we're like, oh my gosh, we're crowdsourcing good ideas from the people living it every day. And then we focus on making those improvements. So we're keyed into continuing to be the best place for agents' business.
I appreciate that because I've been on the other side of receiving those surveys. And to me, knowing that, we're still, in our very young stages as a company and where we're going and where we're growing, to know that our input actually gets to kind of paint on the canvas as to what this finished product's going to look like. So I appreciate that, and I'm glad you shared that with everybody here. Out of respect for your schedule, we're up on our time. Is there any closing thought that you want to share with everybody as you leave our group for today? And of course, we'll see you down at the shareholder meeting.
Yes. Looking forward to that for sure. Yeah. I would say that, take advantage of the stuff that we have to offer as a company, be engaged. This is something where, we're all in this together. This is something, we are being driven by, by our agents, and we want to make sure that we're building this great environment and, we're going to know about it if you tell us, kind of a thing. So, I'm not saying everybody come and complain about the stuff that's not working. It's about having that positive mindset to say, hey, I can impact us continuing to be the best real estate company in the industry. And I can be involved. I can be a part of the solution, and we're in this together and we can help each other out. So that's one thing, is just get engaged, get plugged in, see what's out there, learn about the tools, utilize the tools, use the training. And then the other side of it is, we have this secret weapon in revenue share. And it really is an opportunity. We are a real estate company, but we don't have managers and team leaders and everybody else that's out there. We don't have anyone paid to recruit. Even my growth team is not paid to recruit. They're paid to help other agents and teach them how to share the story and provide the tools for our agents to go spread the story around. And we grow organically. And so it is an opportunity to share this. And if we're doing a great job for you, then we can do a great job for other people that, we can invite them in and help them succeed as well. And we want to. So share that opportunity. But man, the revenue share is something where you really become a true partner in the company. It's not just an ownership and shares and everything else, but when you start to get a piece of the company dollar as it's collected off the top, when people produce, it's a huge opportunity to build another stream of income for yourself. And you will never find anyone out there who's wealthy who says, the percentage of truly wealthy people that make all their money from one place is really small. It's less than 10% of the top wealthiest people in the world that make their money from one thing, like an oil baron or something like that, right? Everyone else has built it over time, getting income from multiple categories. And so this is another category that's in your wheelhouse. It's what you do. NAR says 92% of agents are at the company they're at because they knew someone there. We do it as agents anyway. You might as well get paid for it.
Might as well get paid. I love that. And, you know, it's interesting as my comment is when you look at the revenue share, you know, I own rental property and the amount of effort that it takes for me to deal with a phone call on a weekend or something broke or this failed or what have you. And the revenue share is, I mean, excuse me, the positive cash flow is a fixed number, where this is, it's infinite, right? I mean, as many people as I want to share and get engaged, I love it. And my closing takeaway from this conversation was that engagement aspect. Get engaged. The tools are out there. The resources are out there. The training is out there. Ultimately, it falls on each of us individually to engage ourselves in what's out there to really take advantage of it. So, Dave, we know you've got a lot going on. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Cody, you got anything you want to say as we wrap up?
Just thanks so much, Dave. We know you're really busy. It's really comforting to know we have people like you and Stacy running this thing. To me, the only negative of coming to EXP was that I wasn't going to be able to control it all myself. And so we put our fate in your guys' hands, and we're glad that we have. And appreciate you being on the call. And I don't want to be too greedy, but maybe in a few months we could loop back around and get you on again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to. Love hanging out with you guys, and you know, appreciate the opportunity just to kind of reach out and chat with everyone. So
See you in Orlando.
guys, thanks so much. Yes, guys, everybody get down there. If you haven't registered, it's going to be a great time. We have a ton of breakout sessions scheduled, so lots more opportunities to learn and connect and get some referral sources too. So
See you there.
thanks, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Take care, everyone.